Okay, so it's December 12th, and this is my idea for how you wrap up the year of 2023 and start planning for 2024. And I wrote this with the belief that the greatest value in your business is going to come from the questions you ask, not the answers. Trying to discover the most valuable questions are going to lead you to the most valuable answers. And so when you're thinking about doing a 23-24 marketing plan review and update, the most important thing to figure out is what are the valuable questions for your business, given that every business is unique and different. So this is how I would approach the project as your CMO, and this is kind of the questions I would look for. So we start the meeting with 23 in review. And what's important here is we want to look at the prior 12 months from a high level down. We want to say, what were the goals we had in 23? What did we hit? What did we miss? And for those goals that we missed, can we identify why? Now, this is going to elude and illuminate, did we even have 12-month goals? Do we have our objectives clearly defined so everybody knows what they're doing and has to accomplish for the year in order to hit those annual goals? If that is the case, were they inaccurate? Were they too ambitious? Or were you constrained by not having enough resources? Maybe you didn't have the human capital or knowledge or the skills needed to do what was necessary to hit those goals. Or was it something entirely, something else? The worst example is COVID, 3 years ago. Whole world shuts down. That's obviously going to be something that is out of your control. But the idea here is we are trying to identify that pie. How did last year look? And from that now, we want to go, and it's my opinion that revenue doesn't matter a hill of beans so much as profit matters. So looking back over the year, we want to identify where did 80% of your profits within your business come from? Because again, this is all predicated on marketing, right? So in order for marketing, because marketing is expensive in time, money, and opportunity, we need to use profit as our basis for our decisions. And here, what we want to do is we want to go and say, okay, of these 2023 goals, was there a specific product or service that was responsible for hitting those goals? If you have more than one product or service, try and create, the pie chart that breaks up this product was responsible for X goals, or this product was responsible for this amount of profit. Because then we can further then diagnose, okay, if it was product A, what were those marketing activities that were successful last year that led to the generation of this profit? And of those activities, what are the ones that we can repeat? Or were they, one-off events and activities? If you're talking about you got lucky and went to a trade show or something, and you were massively successful at this trade show, that might not be something that's replicatable. Maybe next year you're not invited to speak, or the event isn't even happening. So it's not like something that you can bank on. What we're trying to do here is identify what are those activities and things that worked that drove the profit in the business. And so once we have those identified now, we can write them down, pin them up, and we're going to slate them for later when we start developing, all right, what are we going to do in 2024? Now, the last piece of this is you want to identify what were the largest contributors to waste. So if even if you hit your goals, there was a certain amount of waste or wasted effort, wasted initiatives, wasted campaigns. Now, I want to be careful when I use the word wasted, because I do believe that you can turn every failure or disappointment or whatever into a learning lesson, but also, it's not a binary system, it's a spectrum. So when you say, yeah, we ran these campaigns on this platform, say LinkedIn or something, and it didn't work. Well, we don't know what didn't work. Did the ad not work? Did the landing page not work? Did the sales meeting not work? What wasn't working? So you want to be cautious of this, but the idea is here is we want to try and just be mindful around what did the year look like. So let me explain this. So if this is our total year for 2023, and the full pie is 100% of goal, what percentage of your pie was a hit and what percentage of your pie was a miss? So visually now we are keeping the hits and we are taking, okay, what products allowed us to hit those goals? And again, I'm referencing profit here. And what was the marketing that led to the sale of those products, and what are those products themselves? So now we've identified this slice and the activities and the products, which we can now take forward and carry into the next year. The idea is being, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we certainly don't want to repeat our mistakes. Making mistakes in marketing is part of the game, but we don't want to make the same mistakes over and over and over. That's the definition of crazy. So the goal here is, again, to identify what worked throughout the year and that really moved the needle forward, what moved your company towards your vision. And you're trying to identify those things that did move the needle and what didn't move the needle. And we want to keep what did and get rid of what didn't. And so that's the foundation for moving forward into 2024. Now, so looking forward, what do we want to accomplish this year? There's no sense in coming up with a marketing plan if you don't have your overall big objectives. Because if you're just speculating and guessing and there is no end, North Star goal, vision, mission, goal, whatever you want to call it, then I don't know how to do my job. Again, I'm talking to you as your CMO here. So what we have to do is we need to come in and we need to set this stage for the coming year. And it's always balanced and predicated on what happened last year. And, and so the first thing we need to do is we need to balance and look at, did what we accomplished last year move the business forward towards the stated vision? In other words, do we need to adjust the vision or adjust the business so that they both come back into alignment? Are you in alignment with your vision? That's super important, because at the end of the day, if we go and start running into 2024 and we're out of alignment and we start getting down this road, you're going to end up building a business that you maybe necessarily don't want to have, or that is way away from your vision. Because again, just like in geometry, you have, a little difference in degree down here over time turns into a gigantic divergence in outcome. So we want to be very thoughtful around this process at this time of the year. And then another question to ask is if that vision is very clear and the company's on track to achieve that, is everyone in the team clear as to what that vision is and why it's important? What are we all working for? Why do we show up at work every day? And then, so the vision being 3, 4, 5 years out, whatever your vision is, now we need to come in and say, okay, what is the mission for this year? Now, I use the word mission people say rocks, you can say quarterly goals, whatever. In my mind, much like I've used this analogy in the past, it's a lot like, the military. When they have a vision, we want to go win this war, they have to set and accomplish different missions. Take this hill, capture this airport, plug up that supply line over here. Those individual missions are what all add up to achieving the overall vision of winning the war. So this is what I mean by missions. When I use that, it's interchangeable with goals or rocks or whatever word you want to use. So the first thing is, how many missions are we going to have for the year? Typically, it's quarterly. That's the easiest way. Most books, whether it's Traction or what's the other one? Scaling Up, Gazelles. Almost everything is built on quarterly 90-day cycles. So that's fine. So we take then and say, all right, what is the annual revenue goal? And then what are the profit goals? Because at the end of the day, doesn't matter how much money we make, it's how much money we get to keep. And these are the variables by which you, the founder, CEO, the CMO, everyone needs to watch, because I've seen it over and over again where you can generate a lot of revenue, but you're losing money and you end up at the end of the year really struggling and wondering what the heck happened. So we need to define those. The next thing we need to say is, all right, how are we going to measure these? What are the numbers that we use to measure success? And I'm going to get into those details down here. But based on those numbers, once we have those numbers set for our business, what of those numbers has to change in order for us to reach these new goals? Do we need new products? Do we need new offers? Do we need new people? Do we need new, an entire new business model? Maybe you've tapped out your market and maybe you need to come up with a new product line to generate and stimulate lifetime value of a customer, things like that. So you need to think about those questions in order, to lay the foundation. So how are we going to hit our goal for the year, our mission? And then what we're going to say is leveraging the prior year, how much of last year, which worked, is going to contribute to achieving the missions for this year. So this is a visual representation of this where, hold on. All right, darn kids. Okay, so again, we're looking at this here, and we were able to determine previously what were the hits and what does that look like. So now as we're down into this section here and leveraging last year into this year, we can take and say, all right, the big circle now is the 2024 goals and missions. We have this 2023 activity, marketing, products, and profits, the hits, the wins from the prior year. Where does that fit in, and how much of your new overall goals does this accomplish? And obviously what's in yellow is the remaining or leftover marketing plan that you need to develop and achieve for the coming year. Does that make sense? So the gap left over between those two is the clear picture of what you have to build and accomplish in 2024, at least from the high number levels. And so obviously minimizing that yellow, depending on your goals, is the challenge. And because the yellow is what's going to cost you a lot of time and money, that's new time and money expenses. So once you've identified that gap, now we need to say, okay, what are the numbers that are going to help you fill in that gap and help you achieve that mission? Do you need more sales or profits from an existing product or service? Do you need to develop new or higher margin products and services? Does everything align, or are you creating objectives and goals and missions that are frankly unachievable and not at all realistic? So the goal is saying, hey, look, here's what we did last year. Here's what we want to do this year. What fits in here? Can we accomplish this growth rate that we're looking to accomplish? So now, this is where we have to go in and kind of rinse and repeat, because I'm assuming your business, almost every business, has different product services, product offers, packages, things like that. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit here and we can get into it and look at, all right, so this is where we evaluate, rinse, and repeat. So once you've completed the exercises above, now we need to come in and look at how do you make the numbers work? And again, this is forward-looking activity now. These are the pieces of the puzzle that we have to identify and start tracking and figure out, what are we going to change? We're still dealing with the what questions here. So this is how I broke this down. Let's say we have a 2024 revenue goal of $1 million. And part of that 2024 goal is a profitability of 30% or $300,000 in profit. And we have a singular product that we're looking at here product A, which for argument's sake, let's just say is $1,000 a sale. So to hit, if A is responsible for all of the sales, that's the only thing we're focusing on this year, we obviously need 1,000 unit sales. And that's looking at purely revenue. Now, you would think to yourself, shoot, man, 1,000's a lot. Let's look at it a different way. Let's say, what if we base all our decisions on profit, where now we come in with the same product A, and the thing is, product A is a digital product, and it's far exceeding of the goal of 30%. Let's say product A is actually generating 60% product profit because you have no cost of delivery. It's a digital product, a consulting or something like that. What that means is if you're making $600 a sale and your overall goal for the business is $300K in profit, that means now from sales and marketing, I really only need 500 sales. That's half of my original estimation of what I need to accomplish. And yet I'm still getting the same result. I'm still generating that $300K in profit. Now, I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, I really don't care about revenue. I want to know what is the profit. And that's how we now can build out your marketing plan based on more realistic numbers. And again, we're trying to maximize ROI and efficient use of assets. So you see the difference here. It's half as much work. So once we've identified this, which goal is more important priority? Obviously, it's profits. Now we say, all right, what are the numbers to achieve 500 unit sales? And we want to work backwards on this. So we start over here and we say, all right, we have 500 unit sales. Now we need to define several variables here. We have in our example here, we have a salesperson who makes these sales. So they take sales meetings. That's an SQL. We need to know how many of those sales meetings result in sales, and what is the conversion here? What sales conversion percentage results do we need to generate 500 sales? Same with discovery calls. How many discovery calls do we need in order to generate this number of sales meetings? And now moving further up the funnel, we say, all right, how many leads turn into discovery calls? And so that leaves us with 6 variables here. We've got X, Y, Z, and ABC. And I wrote them backwards because we're always coming from the back forward. We're reverse engineering our marketing. And so the variable A is, what is your sales call closing ratio? In most B2B companies, it's typically around 40%. 4 out of 10 sales calls should result in a sale. The B variable is how many discovery calls convert into sales calls. This is where you switch the labeling of MQL to SQL and moving forward. That also is 40%. C then is how many leads result in discovery calls. So if you're generating inbound leads, how many of those can you actually get on the phone and have a discovery call with? This one, if you're doing good marketing, should be higher, about 60% or better. So now we've got these variables defined. We can come in here now and define X, Y, and Z. So in order to achieve 500 sales at a 40% sales close rate, we need 1,250 sales calls. In order to achieve 1,250 sales calls, variable Y, at a 40% discovery conversion rate, that means we need 3,125 discovery calls, which now leads at a 60% conversion rate for leads. I need to generate for the year 5,208 leads. Now I have a number as your CMO to work with. I've got a goal. I've got a number that we can measure that on a quarterly basis, we can say, hey, are we on track? If all else holds true, 40%, 40%, and 60%, if all else holds true, we are going to hit our goal for the year. It's pretty simple. These are defining measurable numbers that now allow not only myself to make the right call, but also anyone else who's involved in the process. And so my marketing goals for the year now are 5,200 leads, 3,100 MQL discovery calls, which leads now to sales goals. So these are marketing goals. These are sales goals. Your sales goals for the year are 1,250 calls, and they better have a 40% closing rate. And this is what's going to help you diagnose, all right, what is the job at hand? For us to meet our goals in 24, what do we have to accomplish? This is how you do it. This is how you do it with numbers so that you can measure and you can, put together a concrete objective plan for hitting your goals. Now all you have to do is rinse and repeat the exercise across your product service lines. So if you have product A, product B, product C, you can see it down here. Product A, we want 500 sales. We need 1,200 sales meetings, 3,100 and 5,200. We just repeat the process across your entire product line. Now, what you should be seeing or feeling is maybe we want to focus all our attention on a product and or ditch the other products. Maybe one product is wildly profitable where the others aren't. Or we can see that, driving product A is going to be a lot easier than driving product B because the unit volume is much less. We don't know until we have those numbers, right? So the question here is, are you setting yourself up for failure with reasonable or unreasonable goals and missions? And you take into account, what is the expected growth rate, and is it reasonable to hold your teams as they are now accountable, knowing how your business operates and the numbers you use? And it also allows you then to start planning for HR and what sort of people assets are you going to have to plan for and put into place over the course of the year. So now you can start asking intelligent questions like, given product A, if we did X sales meetings in 23 and had Y number of sales, are we meeting our sales conversion goals? If not, we have a sales problem, not a marketing problem. This is the eternal question and battle between sales and marketing. This is how you determine that. That is, of course, assuming that you're monitoring your sales calls and you discover that your salespeople then are not following your sales process and just winging it. That's how you know you have a sales problem. If you are hitting your numbers, if you're not hitting your numbers, but you listen to your salespeople and they are following the scripts and doing everything that they're supposed to do, then you can determine that you now have a marketing problem. You're not generating the right leads. But without that ability to diagnose those two, you never know if you're having a sales or marketing problem. Now, assuming you have no sales or marketing problems, now you need to answer, how many leads can we generate just by repeating what we did last year? What's that gap? How many new leads do we need to hit the goal for product A sales? Then the question becomes, how are we going to accomplish this? Again, we're not looking for answers at this point. We're just looking for questions. We can always find the answers later. So now part 4, we want to break the year into missions, goals, or rocks, whatever language you want to use. So now you simply have the job of breaking your goals, your annual goals, into quarterly goals, rocks, or missions. Most companies probably just use an even distribution for this, at least in the beginning. But as you go through the year, you will have to readjust your numbers, because if you miss your goal, you're going to have to add to the numbers for the remainder of the year. If you beat your goal, you can probably decrease your numbers, activity numbers, and or raise your annual goals. So these numbers are what allow you to keep track of everything. So again, this is a process to determine what you want to accomplish, not the how. That's a different video. So the reason I wanted to do this is because you really can't, and this is contrary to how most marketing works. When you're putting together a marketing plan, most people think about, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we're going to do this and, YouTube, Facebook ads. We're going to do content. We're going to do SEO, blah, 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 blah. None of that matters if you haven't done this. If you don't know the what, the why doesn't matter. So this is why I wanted to make this particular video. And we're trying to move out of the realm of guessing and speculation and into the realm of knowing and managing growth. Not only that, but just as a little side note, you can imagine if I'm selling the business and I have a buyer and they come in and I'm able to show them all this, you think that's probably going to be a little bit more valuable? Yeah, I agree. So I hope that was valuable. If you have any questions, just let me know, comment below or reply, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. The next, obviously, question is, how do we accomplish this? And that's a topic for a whole nother conversation.